This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, Taiwan is the first country to suspend the importation of Tasmanian fruit from the fruit fly affected control zone, following the detection of the species in the state last week. Produce grown in other parts of the state, however, will still be accepted abroad, but the government admits this too could change.
The government says it's required procedure to inform our trade partners of the detection of fruit flies. As such, Taiwan is the first to pull the pin, with fears others will follow.
I understand the sensitivities of Taiwan. We would do the same, and I appreciate the position that they're in.
Hong Kong and Singapore, though, remain open for business, with roughly 61% of the nation's cherries going to China, Taiwan and Hong Kong. The government says so far 3 properties on Flinders Island and 1 on the northwest have been infected.
No other further infected properties have been found, which is good news.
We have found a total of 6 adult flies now, 5 on Flinders Island and the 1 at Sprayton.
Biosecurity Tasmania says it's doing all it can, with hundreds of properties baited and grounds treated.
We have preferential access to certain markets because of our fruit fly free status, and that's a really important reason for undertaking this.
Currently, around 90% of our cherries have already been safely packed ready for export, with the remainder to be diverted to other markets.
We had our own fruit in trailers on the Spirit last night. They've been reconsigned this morning. So absolutely all stock can go to non-protocol, Hong Kong and Singapore, or protocol, Vietnam, Korea, Thailand, USA, etc.
The ban is currently in place for properties in the 15-kilometre exclusion zone around the infected Acacia Hills property and on islands off the north coast. But this could change. It's understood the ban will be in place until Tasmania is declared fruit fly free. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
The Premier is being accused by members of women's rights organisations of patronising Tasmanian women by ruling out surgical abortions within the public health system. 2 private practitioners are now offering the procedure after a gap in services forced women to travel interstate. Labor is now exploring how the surgery can be publicly provided if elected in March.
There was no muddying the message from the Premier. Surgical abortions within the public health system isn't Liberal policy and should be delivered privately.
That's been the model that has operated previously, and it's obviously an option that we are asking our departmental officers to pursue.
Tasmania's only private clinic practising the legal termination closed in December last year. Since then, women have been offered transport assistance to travel interstate for surgery.
It does send the message to them that this Liberal government doesn't value their rights to access safe surgical terminations in the public system.
This is another health procedure, just like any other, that needs to be provided appropriate treatment and access through the public health system.
Labor is vowing to have the procedure made publicly available if elected. Reproductive Choice Australia says anything less is unacceptable.
I think it's really patronising to women, and it's really failing their health needs.
Late this afternoon, the Health Minister advised 2 local practitioners are in fact delivering the service.
It doesn't provide access at this point in time, so it's an absolute cop-out to say, oh, 2 people have popped up, problem solved. It's not.
The Women's Legal Service is urging the procedure to be offered publicly as a matter of urgency.
People will remain in family violence situations. People will have children they don't want. There will be children as a result of these kind of policies that wind up in the child protection system.
We're not talking about lots and lots of women here. We're talking about a handful of women every year who need to be able to access a safe medical procedure in the public hospital system.
Access for now remaining out of reach for some women. Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania's agricultural body is welcoming the 3rd round of irrigation schemes. The Liberals are pledging $70 million to have 13 schemes rolled out across the state within the next term of government.
We can augment existing schemes and we can interconnect schemes as well. So the opportunity for this region is in actual fact almost create a southern irrigation grid.
And the Farmers and Graziers Association is welcoming the commitment, which will still require Commonwealth funding. A woman accused of confining her dog in a hot car, resulting in its death in Mowbray last year, has told the court someone killed her dog. Anne Din has been charged with 1 count of aggravated cruelty and represented herself today with the court, urging her to seek legal advice before entering a plea. Ms Din will reappear in the Launceston Magistrates Court on March 9. An animal activist group has spent today outside the Tasmanian Quality Meats abattoir, carrying out what it says was a peaceful protest. Holding signs, protesters blocked trucks at the entrance, asking for 2 minutes to say goodbye.
Our goal is to bring the community gaze onto the plight of animals in slaughterhouses and to peacefully oppose the slaughter of animals. Slaughterhouses have no place in a contemporary, forward-moving society.
Tasmanian Quality Meats were contacted for comment but declined. TasNetworks says it's still investigating the extent of damage done to an underground cable during an incident which left a Tasmanian man with serious burns last week. The worker was contracted by TasWater to work on sewage lines under Argyle Street when it's believed he struck a high voltage line. TasNetworks says it hopes to know what will be required to fix the cable by the end of the week. Argyle Street is expected to be impacted until it is repaired. Cash bonuses totalling $1.5 million will be on offer to Tasmanian horses under a new lifeline for the state's racing industry. The scheme aims to reverse a decline in local breeding and even the playing field nationwide.
A carrot on a stick for Tasmania's racing industry. Next season, more than 70 racers will have a $20,000 winning bonus attached for locally bred or locally reared horses. It's designed to produce our next racing icon, a cult hero to win hearts and minds, much like the Cleaner has done over the past decade.
Give him a kiss. You got your bloody carrot on the ground. It's been hard, but you sort of get through it. But I can see now, just through the launch and what's going to happen now, it's going to be a big improvement for our racing industry.
John Blacker's stable in Longford is one of the biggest in the state, training up to 50 horses at any one time. He says the cash bonuses will help Tasmania remain competitive on the national stage, while softening a sore point with other states, which have had similar local incentives in place for years.
With this scheme coming up now, you'd be more than happy just to stay at home knowing you're going to get an easier run. And the prize money's just as good.
A winner with a Tas-bred horse will win more than a Victorian owner with a Vic-bred horse with a Super Vobis bonus in Victoria. So suddenly it puts us back on a level playing field.
Alarmingly, the number of thoroughbreds born in the state has halved in the past 10 years. But insiders are confident this new scheme will help rejuvenate the local industry.
The best thing for the economy is to have that stuff in someone's hand and they'll be spending it again and they'll be reinvesting it.
The industry is already showing great interest in it.
The scheme comes into effect when the 2018-19 season kicks off in August. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Flora staff in Launceston have had a lucky escape this afternoon after the back of their shop caught fire. The owner says a staff member had put his cigarette out in a cardboard storage area, which soon after the spark blazed.
It was quite big from what I could see from the road, and then when I came into the building, just the place was full of smoke, and we're all hands on deck trying to put it out. It would have hit the main part of the building, and this could have gone. This is a new part of the building, so this would have gone up quite fast, I would say. Yeah, so very lucky.
Firefighters were called to the scene just before 2 o'clock. Luckily, no one was injured. A Randalls Bay volunteer group has had its vision realised in the form of a nature trail showcasing the local area. The Eco Sugarloaf walking track officially opened to the public today and is tipped to attract its fair share of tourists.
Finally cutting the green ribbon, this group of locals thrilled to see their vision of the Eco Sugarloaf track become reality.
The view over the Dondecasto, the beautiful lagoon up on the way and just the vegetation, and I'm just happy to be here on the first walk.
After years of slow progress, the volunteer-run group, Friends of Randall Bay Coast Care, was given the green light to go ahead. A collaborative effort, taking over 1,000 working hours to create the scenic 2.5-kilometre track.
A few years, significant work in the planning and dreaming. We always knew that we could create something really special here.
We've had people who are good at catering, people who are good at fundraising, people who are good at putting in grasses and weeding.
A significant day for Paul Thomas, whose family owned the property until it was taken over to be managed by Tasmania Parks and Wildlife.
Mum and Dad have left a legacy.
Thanks to support from Landcare and the Tasmania Community Fund, locals now have an asset to share with visitors. And just recently, hundreds have already shown interest.
What we've got here is just a fantastic example of what happens when the community can access resources to realise their ambitions.
Planning is already underway for stage 2 of the project, which will see a return loop in the form of a zigzag track down the hill, finishing at the end of the beach.
You've got the vegetation, you've got the wildlife, you've got the scenery, and it's passive recreation.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Tasmania Police is urging motorists to be patient with a large number of road closures planned as the Queen's Baton makes its way across the state next week. Delays of around 15 minutes are expected in Launceston as the Baton makes its way from East Launceston Primary School to Civic Square next Wednesday morning.
There will be significant road closures, and we really want people to avoid the tendency of getting frustrated and annoyed because they've been caught up in a road closure, because that increases the risk of safety to the community, the motoring public, pedestrians, and indeed the people that will be participating in the relay.
The Baton will then make its way to Devonport and Burnie before travelling to Hobart next Friday. A detailed list of road closures will be made available on our Facebook page as soon as they are released. Tasmania may be in the middle of summer, with temperatures reaching 40 degrees just 2 days ago, but the Apple Isle is again in the midst of a cold snap. This morning, staff at the Great Lake Hotel captured snow falling around their property. Mountfield also delivered winter weather, with snow falling as low as 900 metres. The state's maximum temperature tomorrow is predicted to be 22 in Penguin. Tasmania's newest general practitioners have been testing their skills before heading out to regional parts of the state. Today, the culmination of a 3-day intensive program for more than 20 qualified doctors.
And today they'll be assessed on how they deal with the consultation structure, the clinical scenarios, dealing with patients, time management, and generally their communication skills during the consultation.
Enjoying new learning opportunities. It's a steep learning curve, going from an acute setting to a general practice, but however, it's quite an enjoyable part of the medical journey.
Nearly 24 contributors have helped put together a tribute to one of the state's most respected health professionals. The achievements of the late Dr. John Morris are recognised in a book, A Remarkable Man, launched today. Dr. Morris was Northern Tasmania's only diabetic physician for more than 30 years.
I worked with him from the 1960s on, and as I've penned the book as he is a remarkable man, there's very few that come along over time.
The Diabetes Centre in the Launceston General Hospital was named in Dr. Morris's honour in 2009. He lived from 1926 to 2017. Now let's take a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. Australian shares have staged an afternoon recovery as US President Donald Trump delivered a market-assuring State of the Union address. The ASX 200 index rose 14.9 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 80.72 US cents and 87.81 Japanese yen.
The future of the Burnie Football Club is tonight up in the air, with the club to decide in the next 2 days whether it can field a team in the State League this season. Follows a big drop-off in player numbers in the new year and comes just over a month after Devonport was forced to fold from the competition. It's the second time in as many months the Tasmanian State League has had to justify its existence.
Our announcement today is around being as transparent as we can to the general footy public, but it in no way, shape or fashion dilutes the commitment we have to the State League.
The Burnie Football Club informing Tasmania of its this morning after a drop-off in player commitment.
I don't really know. Things prior Christmas were quite positive, particularly in the last week of the initial block of training. However, since we've resumed with our second block, our retrieval has been very poor.
With Devonport with the State League due to lack of state leaguers just last month, just expected Burnie would expect benefits, but as it turned benefits, that couldn't have been further that truth.
Retrieval from Devonport was, to this point, zero. And, but the guys that played at Devonport that wished to pursue the TSL have moved towards the Launceston clubs.
The club has now given itself until Friday to decide its fate.
We certainly haven't withdrawn. But, it's a call to arms to let our community and the football community in general know of the issues that we're facing.
Well, the 2018 TSL fixture, which was set to be released today and may now consist of just 7 teams, has been put on the back burner.
We feel that the State League needs to have representation from all corners. We'd put an action plan together to get a team, preferably 2 out of the northwest coast. We wouldn't see this as a permanent situation into the future.
Ord also quickly brushing off suggestions of moving back to a regional football structure for the state.
And we'll just see a mass exodus of our best and most talented kids onto the mainland to go and play TAC Cup, for example.
For now, the Northwest Coast footballing community faces a nervous 48-hour wait.
The flip side is the football club itself's going fine. I mean, it's got money in the bank. It's made a profit last year. The footy club has been going for 132 years. It's won 38 Tier 1 premierships.
Well, she trains at one of the windiest archery clubs on the planet and is as determined as any young athlete you're likely to meet. After holding her own against the world #1 recently, Tasmania's Sarah Haywood is quickly establishing herself as a rising star of the sport. Another cold and blustery day at the Hobart Archery Club, all part and parcel for its sharpest shooter.
Oh, it gets really bad. We've had the targets up and move across to the fence line because it's been so windy.
Come rain, hail, sleet, snow, wind, and you don't often see dedication like that.
That dedication paying off at the recent World Archery Youth Championships, where Haywood finished in the top 20 after an impressive showing against the world #1.
We ended up taking it to a shoot-off, which means just one single arrow decides the match, and it was just, a centimetre in it.
The 19-year-old is now preparing for her biggest challenge to date, travelling to the United States to compete at the Las Vegas Shootout and Indoor World Cup before heading to the World Indoor Championships in South Dakota.
It's one of the biggest tournaments in the world. Get to see all these people that I've watched on TV, be able to shoot against them, which will be really, really exciting.
Haywood will also receive a World Open ranking for the first time in her career, something she's been working hard towards since taking up the sport 5 years ago.
Shooting lots and lots of arrows, a couple hundred every day.
How many arrows would you shoot in a week?
Oh, quite a lot. I'd say 1,900.
Caring for her grandmother full-time and with little funding available for the sport, Haywood relies predominantly on her GoFundMe page, but says there's nothing stopping her from going after her ultimate goal.
The Olympic Games, Tokyo would be ideal, but which means going to Brisbane for lots of training camps and spending a lot of time away from home to work with a national coach.
Her ambition and determination and dedication is what's going to make the difference.
And following much speculation, Hobart Hurricanes import Tamal Mills has been dropped ahead of the side's semi-final clash with the Scorchers in Perth tomorrow night. There was widespread calls for the English fast bowler to get the axe following an inconsistent tournament with the ball, which saw him get belted for 56 runs against the Stars last Saturday night. The Canes have taken a squad of 14 to Perth, with Tim Payne in line to make his BBL debut, replacing Darcy Short, who's on national T20 duties. And before I go tonight, horse racing's new cash bonus initiative wasn't the only moment to savour today. The scheme's launch also saw legendary trainer Mick Burls reunited with his much-loved gelding, the Cleaner. It's the first time the two have been together on home soil since the great Gallopers owners moved him to Victoria.
I'd like to see him back into work tomorrow. He'd still win races tomorrow by the look of him. He looks magnificent. he will come back, I think, one day.
The cleaner was bought for $10,000 and went on to win more than $1 million in prize money. In 2014, he became the first Tasmanian-trained horse to compete in the Cox Plate.
Good evening. Hobart 16 degrees today. Launceston's 21 was the highest it got around the state, and Burnie reached 20 degrees. The southwesterly certainly had a chill factor about it today, bringing a few showers to the west and south and a few isolated patches of hail. Pine Forest Moor recorded the best reading of 6 millimetres today. Low Head and Wynyard 20 degrees. St Helens 19, Ouse and the Islands 18, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Strawn 17, Lyowini a top of 10. A blanket of low-level cloud is over the Bight, with cold unstable clouds streaming over Tasmania. We also have a large mass of cloud over South Australia and parts of Victoria and New South Wales, and plenty more over the tropics. Closer in, and there's the cold air mass pushing over the state from the southwest today. Tomorrow a high remains south of the Bight, extending a ridge through Bass Strait and up the east coast. The trough over New South Wales connects to the monsoon trough over the far north. South to southeasterly winds over northern waters at 10 to 20 knots, southwest to southerlies elsewhere at similar speeds, tending westerly over the northeast later. And for tomorrow, still cool, showers increasing for Hobart, 19 the top, 19 for Cygnet, a shower or two developing for New Norfolk and 20. Launceston, partly cloudy and 21. 20 the top for Devonport, partly cloudy for Campbelltown, 21 degrees the maximum. Burnie mostly sunny and 22. 19 with a shower, Strawn, and Smithton partly cloudy, 22 degrees. St Helens a late shower, well, most of the east coast with that same forecast. St Helens and Swansea 20 degrees and Fingal 21. UV 10 right across the island. On Friday, a shower over the south and east, mostly cloudy for the rest of the state. A possible shower over the north, south and east, and cool southwesterlies on Saturday. And on Sunday, mostly fine apart from the chance of a shower over the northeast. A sunny 32 in Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy for Adelaide and Melbourne. A possible shower for Sydney, and patchy rain with 25 degrees over Brisbane. Fairly clear at the moment, but cool. 14 in Hobart, 18 right now in Launceston. Devonport mostly clear as well, and 19.
That's all from the team for now. Thanks for your company. Bye-bye.